Hi world. Oh yeah, I'm just seeing a still image. Isn't that great? Well, I have an audio problem. So, but if we're if we're if we're live around the world, we're all around the world live today. We have our International Artists Alliance, our Palimpsest project. Thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to introduce our wonderful artists in our collaboration. I'm going to go by my list here. I've got Stephanie McLean. Stephanie, say hi to everybody so you show up on the screen.
Hi, everybody.
And Stephanie is hailing from Toronto by way of Quebec. And we have a lot to talk about today, not the least of which is everybody's got new stuff in their studio, new lighting, new artwork, new faces, new all kinds of stuff. So we'll catch up on all that stuff too. Next is Denise Wiesman-Pilger, the artist abroad. Say something.
Hello. Hello.
You're back from Toronto. You're in Saint-Jérôme, Quebec. Is that near Quebec City?
No, it's near Montreal.
Near Montreal. Awesome. Oh, you're looking good. And next we have Julie Brayton.
Hello.
Julie Brayton paints beautiful seascapes. Look at the seascape behind her, folks. That is oh, we're gonna have to find out more about that. Next, we have Rose L. Williams.
Hi, everyone.
For British Columbia, with an amazing array in her gallery today. Look at the artwork behind her there. Wow. Rose, nice. And next we have Laura Spinetto, who comes from by way of Italy. And Laura, we get to see so much more of your studio today than we've seen. We can really see the painting that's behind you.
This is not my studio. This is downstairs. This is my, it's a room that I'm using because it's more quiet during this live.
Is this where you usually shooting from for our project?
Yes.
Well, the lighting is so much better today. We can really see this gorgeous painting behind you and so much more clarity. I didn't realize how much color was really in there. Well, you know, we're working on our Palimpsest project, and just briefly, because you've probably all heard all of this before, the Palimpsest meaning of the word is an image or a manuscript, and we're being joined by Cheryl Wilcox.
Hi Cheryl.
Yeah, what time is it, Cheryl?
5:33, and I had to feed the cat. No, I don't know.
It's all good. You're here now.
You look fresh. Got new things on your easel and on your wall too. We're seeing different things. Yeah. Great. Oh, look at those. Oh, we're going to find out all about all of these wonderful things everyone's doing. So, as I was saying, the palimpsest, by definition, is a piece of art or manuscript that's annotated, scratched, worked into, and we're using that as our jumping off point so that we ourselves are making a piece of art and then sending it by mail, old-fashioned mail, to each other around the world for each of us to make our marks within it. We're creating new compositions. We have intentions that we've written out in our project that each one of us reads and then adds our intention to them. And some of this work is really coming alive. And some of it is a little more stalled in the water.
Hey, Ross, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, me, thank you. Hi, my name's Ross. Ross Berman. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. And, you know, I'm wondering, Julie, if you might be able to hide my non-video participation so people could just hear me and then see my image or something. I don't know if it's possible. Yeah.
We're all very nonplussed about this technical issue. We have to figure that out for next week, Ross.
So thank you, Denise, for jumping right in there, because I know that you've been working on something and that you've probably got something to say about what you've been doing. What is it that you're doing, and what can you tell us about it?
Well, I think we talked last week about the painting I had received from Lara that was initially started by you, Ross. So I took this week to really mull this over and do some sketching and thinking about it. And I thought it might be nice to first read what you wrote about it, and then what Lara wrote about her layer, and then I'll talk a little bit about why I did what I did and what my thoughts were.
Great.
So this is Ross's painting. I can't really remind you of what it was, but it was this very dark background, and Lara had put like the reds in the background there. If you watched last week's show, you'll see a close-up on the screen there. So you wrote about this, Ross. Transformation is the way of all things. Change. Change is what we notice. Relationships change and grow or stagnate. From a black ground, the whisper of change can be seen. The change is made by others as the view of the relationship is seen by different people. In different light, real or imagined, is the dynamic background for subsequent layers. So this really reflected your very dark background with a little bit of very light sketching where the figure was sort of coming out of the background, which is really, really cool. What I really liked about it is if you look at it in a certain light, it really sort of comes alive. And then Lara got the painting next, and she wrote, "The transformation is sometimes imperceptible. We live as if everything was immutable. We rationally know that things will change, but the process is so slow that it seems eternal. This underground river that keeps digging makes its way, and when it comes to the surface, it can find us unprepared. But it is a wonder of life, which when you at least expect it surprises you and leads you to an unexpected change. I used echelon, white gouache, and gold leaf. I let the water and the colors define what had come out, what had to come out. To underline the unpredictability, the gold leaf indicates that life is always precious, whatever the transformation it makes us go through. What came out can be interpreted as fire or colored trees. Fire symbolizes the energy always in motion, and trees, the slow and imperturbable transformation." Sorry, words are hard. So I was a little bit stumped, of course, but I was also really inspired by Lara's trees and Lara's fire. And of course, I wanted to work with what Ross had said, the change and the transformation that we started with. But I also felt that the piece needed a little bit of texture because I'm a sucker for texture. Can't help it. So what I did, I actually made some photocopies, and I just started by smacking on different texture mediums to see what would work. This is actually something that it's supposed to be a crackling paste, but apparently on the paper it's not working so well, because you can see here it's already like flaking off. And this is a very, very rough sort of, yeah, what is little stones. Sorry, the Amazon guy passed by. And then I had different, I have one with glass beads in it here. I don't know if you can see that. And then this one is sort of like a stucco. And then in the middle, you can't really see it, but you can feel it. It's a more of a fiber paste. And I tried to, because I wanted the texture to not really invade. Your underpainting was so subtle, Ross, that I didn't want to touch it too much. I wanted some of your markings to still come through the layer that I would apply to it. So I was looking for something that was a little bit more transparent. So then I tried to apply the stucco with my finger where it would become sort of more transparent. But I was also not happy with that. So then I was like, well, maybe I should, because I sometimes use stencils. So I thought maybe I should just do something with a stencil and then paint that. So this is sort of lying on top of it. So it would be like this. And then I would have painted this. But I also didn't do that. Because I felt it didn't really, I mean, I could have written something about the transformation of nature, but I didn't really feel that would fit with the piece. So I actually went back to my very, very first thoughts. What I first had when I opened the painting, which I said I would add a layer of washi paper to it. So I started playing around with that, and I did this first,
Oh, wow.
which it's a washi paper that was actually shaped by water droplets, which I think is really, really cool. But then I thought, oh my gosh, I have this washi paper. It has a similar texture, but it's red.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And
Oh,
this
wow.
is what I ended up with, because I really
Yeah.
liked how it sort of almost is like a reflection of Lara's fire.
Yeah.
And then I really felt that in addition, I felt that transformation is not always easy. It can also be painful.
Yeah.
So I felt that you sort of have to force yourself sometimes to go forward and to make those transformations. So it's sort of like walking through fire sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I felt that because there's a lot of holes in there, there's always in your transformation place to stand safely, and then there's places where it's going to hurt. So that's what I did. I actually added the washi paper,
Oh,
Yeah.
a
nice.
sort of
Wow.
a road towards
I
transformation.
love it.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's really cool.
Oh,
And I
Denise.
love how now you can still see. I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
hold it really close up,
can
but
see
you can
his
still
work.
see Ross's
Ross's-
markings.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that piece has turned out to be a real abstract, like a really abstract piece.
And
It's more-
a palimpsest for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
But
very
it still
cool.
still has a figurative quality to it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know-
no, yeah.
To me, from here, it almost looks like, it's nighttime and that there are two castles in the distance. That's how it looks like to me. And that there's kind of almost now, it looks like almost lava coming from that castle on the right. And, there's a path through the lava and through the castles. It's kind of like a game. You have to get through the lava and through the castle.
My
The floor is lava.
yeah. It's developing a beautiful life of its own, that's for sure.
Isn't it
Yeah, I just
fascinating?
really liked how it added not just a physical texture, but also the texture of because I cut the washi paper with water, not with scissors. So that's
Yeah.
why you get these like sort
Edges.
of tufts
Yeah.
of edges. Yeah.
Oh, is that what you
That's
meant, Denise, when you said it with water? You actually cut it with water, like
Mhm.
then the paper dissolved a little?
Yeah, you actually use a little brush and you wet the brush and you mark the outlines, and then you can pull it apart really, really carefully, and then you see the threads of the fibers sort of they move around. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's great.
Fabulous.
So that's what I did.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Amazing. I love how you were able
Great.
like the key, this very low key image, and keep the almost like I guess what Denise was saying, like the sort of landscape figurative story quality, even in this very low lighting. And people might not really know or recognize to appreciate all of the sketching, the changing, the thinking that might go behind a piece. We're sort of inundated with abstract expressionists, and it's all about pouring the paint and the action of the paint and how the paint is applied, and then the artist's concept of what they did with the paint. And with what we're doing and what you showed us, Denise, is that our intentions really have meaning that make a deep impression through time, through space. And that's really the beauty of the Palimpsest project, is how together we have an impression that then we're weaving together through real space and time.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, there's almost like a metaphor in quilting, how people bring their own bits and pieces and come together to make a quilt.
Mhm.
And then that quilt is unique and it's one and only, like it's never going to happen again, because those people and those pieces won't come together that same way again. It's a metaphor, right? Like we're almost quilting in a way. We're weaving, we're creating something that has a life of its own, like you were saying before. It's so
interesting. My mother-in-law was just telling us last weekend, I think, that they used to have quilting parties where they would each bring their own materials and sort of, share and share alike, and then create these big quilts that were unique.
Yeah,
One of
and a
kind.
reflection of the community, like little
Yes.
Johnny's pants that he'd outgrown that had been handed down from the neighbor. I mean, all these little bits and pieces of people's lives and experiences, like a beloved
Cool.
deceased family members, clothing items, they would all be included into the quilt.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, so beautiful. Talk about spanning space and time. And then in the idea of quilting, that it's really sewn, it's a stitch in time, and this whole, all the metaphors that time might imply in sewing.
Yeah. And it's tangible, like in this day and age, like we all even met, in this virtual way. And we haven't even, other than Denise and Stephanie, we haven't met in person yet. And yet this project is a tangible, something that we're able to pick up and turn around and ponder and interact with on a, maybe a little bit, I don't know, a more, IRL way.
But I also feel it feels really special to have like things like these pieces of paper that Lara typed and Ross wrote on, and now I wrote on, and to have this like, I don't know who came up with protecting it like this, but it just feels really special. Just
That's a good idea.
because somebody chose to put this here and to protect it this way, and it even has like sort of a faded edge already a little bit, this paper, so it feels sort of old and precious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Ross, do you have a piece as well that you've got to show us?
I do, and I'm so disorganized. I don't have my intention statements here, which is a shame because what everybody wrote was so beautiful. Okay, so I have to change my view here so I can see that you can see what I'm showing.
Mm.
Can you see?
Yes.
So this piece was started by Stephanie, and then it went to
Julie.
Oh, I thought it went to Julie third.
No,
Julie.
first Julie and then Sherry.
Cheryl.
And then Cheryl. Oh, I misunderstood the order in which so now it's even more complex for me. Oh, wow.
I sort of went underneath the brush.
What's that?
Yeah, I sort of went underneath the brush. That's probably why you were, yeah.
Yeah, first of all, the painting in this is stunning.
Yeah.
It is so beautifully done.
I love the paintbrush. I gotta say.
Any of the impasto, the paint layers are very sheer, but there's definitely movement in the undercoats and the gesso. That's the undercoat of ground that we would use on a piece of board like this. And hands. So first, the intention of the hands, as Stephanie had first written, was that hands are the beginning of all transformation. And she wrote this really beautiful thing. And I got to say this one thing, because people might think that artists are just, like bohemian ditches, and we own that, weird. We'll own, you folks can't. You have to also know that every one of these wonderful people in this group, I have to include myself as a wonderful person, knows how to write and knows how to talk about their work, and knows how to present it in a way that's really uplifting and different, and not academic like you might read in an art history book, but is very real and felt. So that's what both Julie and Cheryl had included in their, if I could turn a phrase, maneuvered in their manipulation hand work of the hand that they had also painted. The brush that Julie put in, which with this diagonal really made this whole composition sing.
Yeah.
And Cheryl regrounded the composition by having this smaller hand holding this holding this brush and nested in this other hand. So now it comes to me, and now I'm like, what am I gonna do with this? Paints are notoriously hard to draw, let alone paint. And so that's one part of it. But then the other part of it are the more formal concerns of the composition and the paint and all that. And it's like, to me, this looks done. It looks complete. It looks like it says everything that I would want it to say, but it can't be, right? Like, I've got to do something next. And then, as Denise pointed out earlier, I'm going to send this off to Denise, actually, who's going to next.
And then after me, there's still two more people that have to work on it.
Yeah.
On it, right?
So it cannot be done yet.
I think we really need to focus on what Julie was teaching us last week, and in terms of keeping it simple. Like, really, sometimes, you know, like, it's just a water droplet. Sometimes it can suit, like, maybe it's a wisp to show that the hand is in movement, or, you know, energy vibrating, or something, you know, that you feel inspired by the intention, right? And I just also wanted to say, in terms of your medium, if you ever, all along this journey with all these paintings, if you want to do something delicate and pastel and color pencil, you just need to put a little thin layer of wherever you're painting of absorbent gesso.
Absorbent gesso.
Absorbent gesso?
It's called absorbent gesso, and it just brings the surface back to almost like a paper quality, or like the original gessoed quality, and it's absorbent. So,
Wow.
and it has a little tiny fine tooth.
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you.
You could do, like, that's what I do. Even in my botanical prints, when my surface, maybe I have a fabric surface, maybe it's wool sometimes, or what, you know, it's not necessarily paper. I decide what I'm going to paint, and I paint first the entire thing with absorbent gesso, and then I can do what I want on top of it with watercolor or pencil or pastel.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Rose,
That is fantastic.
So,
Does the absorbent gesso work with any, for example, an oil pastel? If you were thinking like, oh, I want to paint with acrylics over this oil
no,
pastel.
I wouldn't put it over oils, because it is a gesso. It's an acrylic.
It's an acrylic. Okay. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Off of your oil. But in terms of us using this acrylic, starting off with, and us keeping it like as water media so far,
right?
Ross is completely free to integrate, because it's an acrylic product. It's just that it's created so that it has a ground, it has a tooth.
That's cool.
And
but
it's
Ross,
instead of slick.
And so much better than what I've been doing and then resisting doing, which is spraying with an acrylic Krylon spray paint, which I hate using for every reason you imagine, right? And then
this is more delicate to suit your delicate approach.
See, folks, a community of artists is so important. There are so many things that we don't know that we can tell each other and teach each other. And typically artists work in community. You know, it's a system of passing things along and passing things on, and know-how, and the teacher 7 generations back taught something.
Absolutely, because someone taught me about the absorbent gesso, and I honestly have been mulling over how Julie included her part into my piece that I started, and that it really touched me, that it was just so perfect, but so simple, so you know, not complicated, not overthought, not overwrought, not you know, trying to be big, but it just was so perfect for the piece, for the intention. And yet it was a nice, beautiful lesson for me. You know, I've been remembering it with my photography. So there you go, right? Like, just maybe focus more close in sometimes. It's just, we're really learning from each other in this process in such a beautiful way. It's so touching sometimes.
It is. I agree.
I even Cheryl just did a post about how she starts her paintings and how she gets into, and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, that's so precious. and so valuable. I mean, I don't know if people realize how valuable her incredible experience. Then she just shares this short little just little couple lines, and it like encompasses so much trial and error. I just thought it encompassed so much in one short little sentence. I just felt so appreciative.
And I also think it's really important what you said, Rose, is that to keep it simple, because as artists, we tend to we want to make our mark, right? We want to, when we start doing something, and also for me personally, I would feel bad if you guys would think that I receive this painting and I just put this one dot on there and then I'm done. And then it took me all but 2 minutes to do that. And somebody else has slaved like 24 hours to create this really delicate painting. But sometimes it's what the painting needs, and it's not necessarily about us.
Yeah,
and I think we really need to. Yeah, I think we really need to be able to take that freedom and to feel, to not feel bad about just making like a small mark on something.
Yeah,
if that's
especially if we feel that it's completely suitable to the intention and the other layers. I mean, that's the whole idea of the palimpsest. Like, we're getting this opportunity to kind of keep something, and it's not all about adding. It's a lot about deciding what we're like, how Denise allowed so much to show through of the delicate underlayer. Like, it's this kind of, I don't know, like quick historical, like we're doing history really quick. Archaeological layers.
Yes. Like archaeology, yes, like digging down and seeing all the different layers of the city.
Yeah,
it's true.
Except we are building it instead of taking it away.
That's right. We're constructing rather than deconstructing.
Yeah, it's pretty, I don't know, I find it very challenging in a great way, because it keeps my like creative little juices kind of thinking on a new level.
Yeah, what I also like about it is that it's completely outside of what I normally do with my paintings. It's completely different way of, like, I'm still using materials that I would normally use or have used in the past, but like just applying a layer of paper is not something that I would regularly do in a painting. Like, I use the paper, but in a different way. So it's really nice and freeing to sort of step outside of your regular boundaries and do something different.
Yes.
I found, sorry.
Stephanie, go on.
Oh no, I was just going to say that I, did an image transfer for the first time in years, on your piece, Denise, of the busker, and I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot this. This is cool. This is fun. I forgot that we could do this.
Well, we're coming to the end of our session, but I wanted to just talk to Julie and Cheryl for a moment, because they've got these beautiful pieces up on their easel studios. Julie, talking about being free and outside, can you just tell us a little bit about this piece that's on your easel? Is somebody already purchased this?
No, I'm still working on it. I have a show next week. So this is one of the pieces I want to submit. I just loved, the day that I took the photo reference for this, just had a beautiful light quality, and I really was inspired to portray that on canvas. A little different from the typical wave with the green glow that a lot of people seem to like, but I like waves that have red tide. That red and that mahogany that's in that, so anyway, I think this is something people love, waves, and particularly with the season coming, I think that it'll be a piece that they'll like.
It feels so distinctly Atlantic, like feel kind of thing, and where you are, the light is just amazing. I'm always astounded how you can capture it. really.
Thank you.
Wow. You've got another lily pad painting behind you with,
Yeah, it's autumn.
Oh,
Oh,
your autumn
that's
lily.
right. It's autumn there.
Yeah. So everything's dying, of course. So talking about the layers and the change. So the lily pond doesn't look like the lily pond anymore. It's slowly changing. It's, the pads are getting orangey and yellow. That's just the first layer, if you want to call it that. And that's how I started. So I always start with a whole mess of ultramarine and burnt umber. I wipe off my focal point, which of course is going to be my lily. And now I have to work out how to get everybody to it.
Oh, people's eyes, I mean, to get people's eyes to go to the lily pad.
Yeah, or the pathways. And so I've sort of, really sort of like some thinner layers, and then I'm putting some thicker, but I'm thinking now that the edges of some of these reflections need to be a little bit sort of softer to get them going back, but that's okay. I'll just keep on layering and
Fun.
I don't know, add more weeds and add bits and
Beautiful.
it's got to have a lot more depth put into it anyway. So that's where it is now. I don't know. I just make it up as I go along.
But you do it brilliantly.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, just sort of, make it up. I mean, everything's made up, isn't it, Ross?
everything's made up.
Yes. Yeah.
Make it up as you go along. That's what it means to be an artist, and to be a professional artist means to make it up as you go along, and then make that thing up as you go along. And every day you make it up and try to keep going, right? Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on Live Day from around the world to your computer, living room, bedroom, wherever you're joining. And we're here what day is today? Thursday.
Always Thursday.
Friday for me.
It's true.
Whatever, Cheryl.
In all different time zones. Laura, what time is it Greenwich Mean Time right now?
9 o'clock in the evening.
9 o'clock in the evening. Greenwich Mean Time, folks, coming at you all around the world. East Coast, West Coast, Greenwich Mean Time, Australia time. And we love you again next week. Thank you. Come soon. We've got more to show you and more to say. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.